Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Vision of Escaflowne Retrospective. With the plot and my opening thoughts on the series discussed, it's time we look at where the story actually takes place, the mystical world of Gaea, with a few shots on Earth of course. Now, Gaea is a fascinating setting, and through this look at it I hope to discuss why it is so, and how it expertly complements and sets the stage for the characters and tones at the very core of the series. Now, the Vision of Escaflowne takes place in the magical world of Gaea, and Gaea is an excellent setting for a variety of reasons, both superficial and more deep. On a surface level, Gaea is simply a great setting because of how visually inviting it is. Its vast variety of colors and settings draw us in as we want to see more of what this world consists of, whether it's abandoned temples, thick jungles, or large cities. We are intrigued by what we don't know, and there's so much about Gaea that we don't know that we're kind of drawn in. Its bright surface colors in different realms welcome us and let us know that there is a grand adventure which is about to unfold before us. They let us know that Gaea is an extensive land full of many different states and peoples and societies, and much more. From the Venice-inspired city of Pallas, to the Asian-themed Duchy of Freld, to the seemingly German Bosram, the many realms of Gaea all have their own feel, and the varieties of feels around creates a world which seems more than just inspired by a single place. A world that, while fantastical, sort of mirrors our own in its variety and layers. And while many realms are not very fleshed out or merely mentioned, the sheer amount of realms and places hinted at helps create a feeling that the world of Gaea is truly an extensive and vast one. All of this variety both engages us visually and plants the seeds of curiosity which pull us in further, setting the stage for an exploration of the deeper layer of why Gaea is such a great setting. On a deeper layer, Gaea is a magnificent setting for the series because of how it and the cast contrast each other so well and in turn strengthen each other. While Gaea is a fantastical place full of countless wonders and realms and mystical things, it's also a place full of normal people and societies, full of characters that we can both relate to and empathize with, that we can understand and see existing in our own world. And it's also full of many different states of different statures engaged in their own political maneuvering, just like our world. While the land of Gaea itself is quite magical and fantastical, many of the people and states present are not, and the many wars, conflicts, and political intrigues present let us know that A, the cast should be taken seriously, and B, this isn't just some lighthearted adventure with no meaning, that this is an adventure which will reflect upon deeper human emotions and thoughts, and that will have a meaningful impact upon us. This juxtaposition between a magical Gaea full of psychic powers and mysteries, and a grounded cast of characters in turn strengthens both the fantastical nature of the setting and the grounded nature of the cast and states present. That they are so different points out why they are both so strong and memorable, all the while lending a sense of credibility to both. Yes, Gaea is impossibly fantastical, but that its people and regimes are not makes it seem as though Gaea could be something that could happen. Since it has realistic in people and realms, we are convinced to overlook some of the inconsistencies of the setting and to ignore how fantastical it is. In a sense, the realistic nature of the realms and peoples present help establish our suspension of disbelief. Meanwhile, the fantastic and magical air of the setting lends an air of wonder to a cast who is pretty grounded in all actuality. It imbues realistic characters with an air of the extraordinary by being magical in and of itself, and it being so alien also allows for Hitomi to feel like a fish out of water. On the topic of Hitomi, her interactions with the setting are also of note, as they alternatively lend her character an air of both tragedy and excitement, depending on what her most recent interaction is. The tragedy, of course, comes from her separation from her home and what she knows, and her anxiety to return to them. She is burdened by being thrust into a brand new and alien world, which is so bizarre and extensive. However, this level of novelty also gives rise to certain levels of excitement, as Hitomi grows fond of Gaea and discovering its many neat people and trinkets. In a way, Hitomi and her interactions with the setting kind of mirror our own, as we navigate the emotional twists and turns of this grand adventure. Assisting all of these emotional impacts are an amazing soundtrack, which complement the series almost perfectly. Once again, the works of the legendary Yoko Kanno, and a few other works by Hajime Mizuguchi, create a wondrous complement to the events unfolding on the screen. VOE's OST is without a doubt one of the best I've heard in a long while, and its clean, orchestral sound and limited use of vocals mesh almost perfectly with their settings. While there's nothing wrong with any series using an orchestral soundtrack, the fantasy element present lends an extra bit of connective tissue to it, as the timbre of many of its pieces connect themselves very well to the notion of noble kingdoms, magical realms, and medieval fantasies. Many of them feel like songs you could actually see being played in the world of Gaea itself, by say a group of court musicians. In addition, the heavy use of orchestral pieces makes the limited use of vocal pieces all the more impactful in times of high tension or impact. There are very few moments in the series where a sort of music video takes place with vocalized music. However, their rarity makes them much more impactful, as they're out of place enough to be noticed and to take precedent, but not enough to the point where it's distracting. I'd also like to point out the song played at the very end of the series, which is fittingly called Ending Theme, as it is one of the most moving pieces in all of anime, especially when used in the context of the one shot it's actually meant for. This single 5-minute piece should be listened to, as it basically encapsulates the entirety of the series, a magical and mysterious journey which moves us emotionally, in addition to whatever physical travels take place. A journey which not only takes place in a magical realm, but explores the human heart and its own deep feelings. In short, the OST is a very strong one in this series, and it goes beyond complementing the imagery and filling dead air. Instead, the OST of Vision of Escaflowne is a masterpiece in and of itself, and it's strong enough to elicit some kind of emotional response regardless of whatever shot it's used against in the screen. On the topic of shots, I also wanted to take a quick moment to comment on the amount of scenes which take place in this series at dawn, dusk, twilight, or night. While I think a majority of the series takes place during day, somewhere from 51 to 70%, there are many shots which don't. There are many shots which take place during the late night or the early morning, and this also lends itself to the dreamlike nature of the series, as people tend to sleep at night. The sheer amount of night shots not only look gorgeous, but are also a sort of way of lulling the viewer into embracing the dreamlike nature of the Vision of Escaflowne, and to inform us that we are no longer in the ordinary world. We see this every time we see the Earth in the sky, alongside another moon. We see this every time Hitomi looks into the stars and tells us that they have the power to grant wishes. We see this every time the sun rises in the series, as it rises upon a new land that we're unfamiliar with. Even in the ordinary world, which Hitomi comes from, many, if not most of the shots are set at night or early morning times. In fact, it even goes full circle, as Hitomi enters Gaea for the first time at night in episode 1, symbolizing a sort of entrance into a dream, and exits Gaea in the morning, it seems, as the very last shot of the series shows her in the early morning, showing a sort of waking from a dream. And a dream is a great way to sort of describe the setting of Gaea, the setting of the Vision of Escaflowne itself, the soundtrack of the series, and the emotions they help elicit. As, while the setting may not make 100% sense in a logistical sense, as some stuff does happen which isn't fully explained, it's still fully engrossing and fascinating. Like a dream, it is a realm whose surface-level fantasy elements complement our own inner emotions, our own inner feelings. It is a dream whose surface-level fantasy elements also complement a grounded and likable cast, which in turn strengthens both because of how contrasting they are. It is a dream of wonder, and a dream come true.